before this video begins, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and follow the Twitch in the description below. The video is going to be split into 4 parts: the analysis, familiar locations, sounds, and what I believe to be the correct order. We begin with this view, looking out at Death Mountain. A stream of lightning flashes across the screen to show us 2 key elements. The first being the green swirl of energy we've seen in past trailers, and the second, a pool of bubbling malice. In the distance, we can see 2 more green swirls. They're randomly scattered across the overworld of Hyrule. Could this energy be what remains of the shrines? Or possibly fast travel access to the kingdom above? We can also see the pointed roof of a building to the left. The next area shows us a new type of enemy, but even before the camera pans, we can see yet another green swirl of energy off to the right. These flying creatures resemble a dragon mixed with a frog. We can spot black and red-horned bokoblin, seeming to be in their enemy camp. Broken structures with skulls and crossbones litter the space. When the lightning flashes again, a floating island comes into view on the left, and another unknown structure to the right. 2 towers lit by 4 spotlight beams are seen on either side, as well as a strange glowing design on the side of a hill. A similar design was shown in the previous trailer we got for the game, but these aren't the same. When the lightning bolts flash again, we can see yet another tiny floating island, but more importantly, it seems like a tornado has formed around it. Maybe this isn't just any tornado, but Thunderhead, a location found in Skyward Sword, said to be a collection of floating islands surrounded by a mass of thick clouds. This island could be the same one we just saw, seeing how close it is to the tornado. Blue specks float all around, almost imitating malice during a blood moon. Directly below is what appears to be a platform, and off to the right is the same symbol from before, carved into the hill. Now going down even further, we get to this dark, decayed area, which resembles the various Silent Realm challenges throughout Skyward Sword. The objectives for these realms were to obtain all of the sacred tears without being caught. Maybe the blue wisps floating around are the same concept, and you have to take them to the glowing trees? Malice-infused Lizafos and bokoblin are shown mining ore, surrounded by the pools of the red substance. We wanted more enemies for the sequel, and the Zelda team didn't disappoint. On the Bridge of Hylia stands a Hydra, a dragon with 3 or potentially 4 heads. To the right is a structure off in the distance, and another green swirl can be seen in front of the castle. This here is Hateno Village, since we can see the ancient tech lab on the hill. It is missing the blue flame and telescope outside though. Nothing else seems to be off other than the swirling energy on the hill nearby, and the twinkling lights all around the village. We can make out another pool of malice, and a tall blue structure lighting up, almost like a Sheikah Tower. Here we finally have a good look at our hero. Link is shown wearing a dark blue cloak, wielding a shield, bow, and arrows. We've known that the blood moons revive defeated enemies, but now Link truly does need to be careful. The blood moon fires missiles to the overworld, spawning all sorts of foes, including bokoblin, moblin, Lizafos, and even some new and reoccurring ones as well. This massive bokoblin brute makes his debut, and we're getting re-deads, first introduced in Ocarina of Time. Going back a bit while the missiles were coming down, another green swirl is spotted in what looks like the Gerudo Canyon. The trailer shows a blight or a different kind of boss being taken down, lava rock almost in the same pattern as an Ignito Talus, and a piece of Hyrule Castle crashing to the ground. Another pan of the camera shows us more malice pools on the Great Plateau, the Temple of Time, and again, the symbol on the side of the hill. Link is seen on his steed, Epona, racing past the levitating Hyrule castle, with the tornado from earlier to the left of that. At first, I thought this was more falling debris, but if you look closer, it's actually a group of Molduga swimming in a pack through the Gerudo Highlands. Going back to Link, he stands on a pedestal, only to have guardian arms pop up from all sides. I believe the Yiga clan has a part in this, from the Sheikah Eye on the ground and the wall post. I'll also point out that one of the guardian arms is holding some kind of object. Let's take another look at these enemies. Here we can see the blue Bokoblin with 2 horns, and our new Bokoblin Brute, who has bones around his neck. In the next shot, Link's being chased down by a Hinox, wearing a spiky hat and a green jeweled necklace. Could this mean we'll be able to find emerald ores in Tears of the Kingdom? Here's more of Link paragliding and riding Epona, but then it switches to some more enemies. It turns out that the flying frogs can actually carry Bokoblin all around the map. I hear walking is overrated anyway. Moblins surround our hero, and then it shows off a new boss, likely fought in the kingdom above, based on the brightness and yellow trees. This blocky villain seems to be connected by the surging green energy, looking very similar to the friendlier statue we've seen in a previous trailer, who's attached the exact same way. Ancient symbols line its body as it smashes down to try and attack Link. Notice the glowing points on it too. I'd assume the way to defeat this boss is to shoot those weak points. Wakey wakey, this is Ganondorf finally being freed from his underground prison and awakening. The view from above the clouds is truly breathtaking. This goes to show how high you can really get. Death Mountain is the tallest point in Hyrule, and to even be above that is incredible. You can see everything from up here. The floating islands, Hyrule Castle, Death Mountain, and I think we can catch a glimpse of one of the spotlighted beams from earlier right over here. While Link freefalls, we get a look at more malice pools, and either the same or a different lit up beam. Once he's safely on the ground, we can see a tower to the left, a Bokoblin camp with wooden boards sticking out of a rock, and another look at the strange symbol on the hill. Now that we get a much better view, it kinda reminds me of that Hydra on the bridge. See the 4 legs, necks, wings, and tail? Maybe that's just my interpretation, but it does look different from the ones we saw before. These next few parts show Link doing some cool new things. He has an arrow with what I'm assuming is some sort of food on it, and can be charged up with his arm, once released, hitting the flying frog enemies. Shield surfing is back, but now improved. You can rail grind to ambush enemy camps built into the side of mountains. Check out those minecarts and red rocks too. Link can still do puzzles, but now with his arm. And probably the coolest part of all is this underground fight with a luminous talus, showing off a brand new weapon that resembles the dragon-shaped stones found at the Zonai ruins in the Faron region. This weapon can send out orbs to blast enemies on impact. You'll also notice the luminous stone clusters towards the back of the cave. I thought this was Zelda holding the newly destroyed Master Sword, but I'm starting to believe the pattern that matches Link's arm is really just part of her dress. It looks as if she's standing in front of a fountain, with a giant boss behind her, seen on either side. In the next frame, we do see Link's arm reaching for hers, but at the end, it seems like he's only daydreaming. Now we have to talk vehicles. You thought that the Master Cycle Zero was cool? Link can use the Magnesis rune from his arm to find parts and make cars that can again have the Zonai rune's dragons on either side of the headlights and green energy to make it run, hot air balloons with green energy wrapped around them, and a hovercopter that can speed through the air. While we're up here, check out that massive sphere and the streaks in the sky. I wonder if those were left by the falling rocks from above. As Link's riding through the field, we get another look at a pool of malice off to the left side, a tent with a Hylia next to it, and a little green glowing area right under the Z in the logo. That rock that I was just talking about leaving streaks in the sky can also be seen falling to the ground below. Something I completely missed that was called out to me by AJ on Twitch was the yellow flower on the top of this rock formation, confirming that Korok challenges are officially back. Right after the logo, we can see Ganondorf waking up. The Master Sword is still intact, but Link's arm is already being consumed by the malice. He drops the Master Sword and lunges for Zelda as her torch falls with her into the abyss. That's everything I found from the trailer, but before we move on, I realized two details I found while editing. The middle of this stone creature's body from a previous trailer, the blaster Link uses in the cave, and the bottom rotors of the hovercopter all share the same broomstick-like symbol, meaning that they're all somehow tied together. The second detail I noticed was in another past trailer. The same stone dragon head was being used on a shield while fighting an underground enemy who used fire to attack Link. At the time, the weapon shot fire. Then, in our most recent trailer, the same weapon is being used as a blaster on a rod and shooting blue orbs, which happen to be the same color as the luminous talus that Link is fighting. Could this mean that the dragon's stone weapon could be placed on different tools for the correct situation? And can it change elemental abilities based on the enemy you're facing? Alrighty, let's move on to familiar locations. I did an 8.5-hour Twitch stream trying to find matching locations from the trailer to current day Hyrule. The first was the Bridge of Hylia. In the trailer, the Hydra actually stands in the middle of the bridge, seeing how the pillars to the left of it all match up. If you look at the end of the bridge, you can also see Hyrule Castle on the left and Death Mountain on the right. Our second location is the Hateno Ancient Tech Lab. As I was saying earlier, the Blue Flame and Telescope are both gone. The Sheikah Tower in the distance is no longer visible either, or the Divine Beast. The third location was difficult to find, but standing northwest facing Hyrule Castle seemed to make everything line up. You can tell by the skinny trees on the left, the chipped towers, and the standalone spire on the right. This was clearly after the walkway got broken off. Obviously, there's more malice lining the cliffs of the castle in the trailer, and the pillars around the castle are gone. Right here, at location number 4, which is on the edge of the Great Plateau, proves that Sheikah Towers are officially gone. Your eyes aren't deceiving you, because these are the same statues. In the background is the Temple of Time, and even that tree on the right is in the correct place. Near the Sacred Ground ruins is our fifth location. The broken wall to the right of Link matches up perfectly, but we don't seem to have crossroads on our left yet, and this Divine Beast is also gone. What we now have confirmation about is the tornado sits above Hebra Peak. To prove this, if you were standing on one of the pillars at Hyrule Castle, facing the same direction, you'd see the same silhouette of the mountain, and again, there's no Sheikah Tower or Divine Beast to the left of the peak. The trailer has a wide panoramic view for most of these shots, which made number 6 very tricky. But if you stand on Mount Rome and line up Dueling Peaks and Statari Mountain, the location is correct. Notice how the Divine Beast is gone here too, and there isn't a Sheikah Tower in the distance. Location 7 was probably the most difficult to track down, and the reason will leave you surprised. I was able to match up these skinny trees to this space next to the Great Hyrule Forest, and found that it looked so different because the fog around the Typhlo ruins was gone. What got really strange is when you peered into the fog, you could see the same familiar dragon head statues seen countless times throughout this video. I can't wait to know more about this zone and why the fog was lifted. There's absolutely no way to travel as high in the sky as these pictures currently, so you'll have to take my word for location 8. Hyrule Castle is to the left, and Death Mountain is to the right. Link would be standing around Upland Zorana, just much higher up. I searched everywhere, and I couldn't find a slope like this for location 9. I did realize that if you stand on Crino Peak and look out, you'll see the same archer post, just turned the wrong way, and the correct mountain positions. The Divine Beast is gone, like all the rest, but where the Sheikah Tower once stood is now this new tower. You'll see there's no shrine either. The picture carved into the mountain would be about here, and the big rock which I thought was a Bokoblin base would be here. Back on the Great Plateau is where Link was using stasis. Our 10th location shows the same log, trees, and slope, but again, no shrine to the left. For number 11, this is the ranch ruins, where Link would be riding his vehicle. You can see the same ruins and fences if you move closer off to the right. And our very last place, number 12, is in Hyrule Field. Obviously, a lot of the stone isn't on the ground, or the tent to the left, but the broken down carriage and the tree next to it are still there. The Divine Beast is gone, but there are added towers up in the mountains. Those are all of the similar locations that I could find. And can you believe it? We're still not done. Next, we have to talk about sounds. So right off the bat, we hear this voice in the trailer.
Rise, rise, my servants. Sweep over Hyrule. Eliminate this kingdom and her allies. Leave no survivors!
Lots of people obviously think that it's Ganondorf, or even Demise, but the second that I heard it, I thought that it sounded like King Rome, Zelda's father. I know this is a stretch, but listen to the king say the same lines as the voice in the trailer, just slowed down.
Rise, rise, and her kingdom, Hyrule.
The pitches are slightly different, but at least to me, it sounds like the king. I'm not exactly sure how a ghost can be possessed, but I guess anything's possible in Hyrule. Now onto the big audio question we've all been wondering. I've made multiple videos talking about the backwards music in the trailers. I always thought it was a voice whispering something. Now I can understand it a bit more. If we reverse the audio and slow it down, we hear this. I personally believe it's saying, save our home, save our bodies. This would actually make sense, considering a lot of people, the king, and the champions all died during the calamity. Maybe Link has to go and save everybody, which in turn means that he'd be saving Hyrule, their home, but also their bodies. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. We have one more category to get through, and that is what I believe to be the correct order of the trailers. Probably the most difficult part of the entire video. Here's what I've got. Link and Zelda discover the entrance to a cave. This leads them to become curious, so they grab supplies, an ox, and torches to head in and explore. During the journey, there's a gap that's too large for the ox to cross, forcing our heroes to continue on foot. Zelda finds a wall painting of Ganondorf on horseback, which surprises her. The duo eventually stumbles upon the corpse of Ganondorf. Wanting to take a better look, Zelda gets closer to the body. it starts to move, so she turns back towards it just in time to see its eyes open. Malice shoots up, immediately going for Link, and then hitting the ceiling. The ground shakes. Link drops the Master Sword and lunges for Zelda. As he does, the glowing hand that was keeping Ganondorf at bay grabs Link, who immediately becomes unconscious. He loses his grip on Zelda's hand, and she goes falling into the darkness. Ganondorf fully gets to his feet and sends the entire castle up into the sky. Later on, Link awakens with a new glowing arm. Now, here's what I personally don't understand, and maybe you guys can let me know what you think in the comments. Why is it that Link's right arm is already messed up before the malice even leaves Ganondorf's body? The Master Sword I can understand because there's a possibility that Demise is breaking through the sword, considering everything that went down at his demise. He was trapped in the sword, so why not pick right now to reappear? And notice how the Master Sword isn't broken yet, but at the same time, how Link's cloak he was wearing is gone. When Link leaps for Zelda, he tries to reach for her with his right hand. When he makes contact, his hand isn't messed up. The glowing hand grabs Link's left hand, but it possesses his right. So really, nothing makes sense. Anyway, let me know all of your thoughts in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and check out all the socials in the description below. I'll see ya in the next video.